Hello, my name is Peter Phelps and I'm from Phelps3D. Today I'm going to do a lesson in FreeCAD 0.16 that's to show you how to use the Revolve tool to create different objects. So we're in Part Design Workbench. I have a new document open. We're going to create a new sketch. It doesn't really matter if you're in XZ or YZ, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sketching, not drawing, a slice of an object. You can think of it as like the profile you would use if you were trying to create a lathe object. So the first object we're going to create is a key candle holder. Now, this is sort of supplemental to my 5th ebook that will be coming out, FreeCAD 3D Printing for Kids. It will be candle holders. There's a caution I put in there. Any plastic, if it comes in contact with the open flame, is going to burn and possibly release toxic gases. So it's good to have adult supervision and to monitor your candles. I'm using the tea candles here in this case because it has its own little metal cup, so it shouldn't be as big of an issue. But if you design one for emergency candles or dining candles, you want to make sure that it doesn't burn all the way down. Make sure it goes out before the flame actually can reach the plastic itself. Now the hot wax evidently won't really do any harm to your PLA or your ABS, so that's okay. And of course it's going to stick to it pretty good. So what we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in here a bit, and the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I pin to the Z-axis, draw a line out some, come up here, and you can pretty much do any kind of profile you want. Just try to make sure that, if you make it too steep of an angle, then you're going to have to print it with supports and remove those later. And for instance, you probably don't want to do this. That's going to be a really tight spot to get any supports out of. So I will adjust that back. Okay. Now it's very important that you get this line in the middle exactly on the axis. If you don't, you're going to end up creating a hole in the revolve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct this by removing a couple of these links. It sort of looks like it, but sort of looks like a rook with this profile. But you can manipulate and make any type of profile you want. Like I said, the only thing I would be careful of is too big of an overhang where you have to use a lot of supports to make the object. And the same with like a couple of these restraints. So let's get rid of the 29 and 32. That usually happens because it creates restraints on this that aren't necessary because you've got it pinned to the origin. pin to the z-axis. Now, when I measure my T candle, they're 38.5 millimeters in diameter, which I'm going to round up to 40, so that I only need a radius then of 20. So I'm going to change this to 20. And so now I have to adjust my pattern because I didn't make it wide enough. Hopefully that's not too big. And you can make all sorts of different patterns like this. So this is the space where the T candle will sit. Close that. You want to make sure that all your parts are connected so that it's one single line around before you try to close it. Okay, and when you get it to where you want to close, and then should select the sketch, so Revolve, say okay, because it's revolved around the vertical, and there's our, it looks like a piece that was lathed, and that will be our candle holder. I'm probably still going to need some supports when I print that. This may be a bit too much of an overhang. File, save. I'm going to call it T candle holder. And click on the resolution of the file, export, and call that T candle holder. Make sure you have the mesh STL save as selected before you hit enter. Okay, I'm going to close that. And our netfab basic. Let's check the file out to make sure it's okay, 3D printable. Later, part. Since we don't have the little exclamation triangle, then we're most likely good to go as far as 3D printing goes. And you can load it into your favorite slicer. like I said, depending on the overhangs, you may or may not need supports. So close that. Another project we could try for the Revolve tool. I just created a new document, created a new sketch. Like I said, it doesn't really matter which direction you go here. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch a knob for a cabinet. Oops, I forgot. Okay, because I'm doing a knob for a cabinet, instead of having it completely have the thing up, straight up, we're going to create a line on it, then we're going to come out a little, and then back down to the y-axis, and come out, and we're going to make a profile. This one definitely would probably need to have support. This is for like a chest of drawers or some other type of get rid of redundant strings. So now 10. And set the length of this line here to, and I'm going to set, you can click these and move them around. I'm going to set this is going to be setting a radius of a hole that's in the bottom of the knob. So I'm going to set it to 2 millimeters in order to have it have a 4 millimeter hole. And that one. Set the length here to 17. And then we're going to want this to slope down slightly from, I'm going to get rid of these, so I need to be able to modify these just a little bit. Oops, there's a disconnect. If you ever have two parts where it's disconnected, click the two nodes, and then click that one to join them back together. So what you want is so it's sloping down towards this point in, and we're going to change that point in so it's rounded using a fillet layer. Oops. The same thing, we'll do the same thing down here at the bottom on this one. But to do that, because it pinned it, see how it has an anchor to the y-axis? We've got to remove that in order to be able to fillet that point. Now when I fillet it, it's going to get rid of the 17. Because it's no longer at that point, it creates 2 points. And fillet this side. Now I'll hit escape. I'm going to zoom in a bit. If you don't know how to zoom in, I'm using a scroll wheel on my mouse, but if you don't know how to do it, zooming in is Control Shift plus, zooming out is Control minus. Oops, there's another break. How did I get so many breaks in line? Yeah, you don't want breaks in your lines. That will not work. I'm gonna try to smooth the line out so it looks like it's more of a curve than a bunch of segments. And so that should do it. Now, the reason I did this, where it's got the, was so that there's a hole so you can screw a screw inside into the knob. Now you can make this part taller, shorter, thicker. I'm using 2mm, it makes only a 4mm hole, which you can find non-metric screws will fit into it too. You could go 5 too. There's I think 3/8 and 5-inch, 5mm are very similar. So I'm just going to leave it at 4. Worst comes to worst, you can drill it a little bit too. You can do a rotate, revolution. Say okay. If you don't know how, I use the navigation style touchpad navigation. That way, if I want, I can press the Alt and I can rotate my view freehand. Makes it nice and easy to check and look at different parts of a file. Okay, and so we're going to call file, save, and I'm going to call it drawer knob. And we'll file, export, make sure your STL mesh is save as, and we'll call it drawer knob. And close that one and check it out in NetFab. There. No bad triangles, so it should be 3D printable. That's cool. Okay. Okay, then let's try to do sort of a vase or fancy cup. Click on, I did new document, new sketch, doesn't matter which of the other two. This time, and then Start at the bottom. Zoom out. You just want to make sure that now, if you were doing a vase, maybe you were actually putting real flowers into it, you might want to leave a hole in the middle and create another tray that you would fill that with water. Of course, depends on how you want to do it. Not all 3D printing filament is very good at actually keeping water inside. Depends on what type of filament you're using, what settings you have, and I would use like the lowest print setting if I wanted it to contain water, just because you want the layers to not leak, hopefully, or for it to fill up inside. Now, if you really wanted to do this, you would probably use ABS and do vapor smoothing to it, because it would make it a lot more watertight than the 3D printing layers can will. I want it to point, really sharp pointing out. You'll probably want to try to get sort of a uniform thickness here between the two segments. Now, make it whatever type of shape. Now this one here has quite a sharp overhang here. It might need a little support. I'm gonna go with that. Say close. Revolve. And say OK. And now we have our vase technology. File save. I'm going to call this Bob. File. Export. Make sure STL mesh is selected. And again, vase. And we check it again. basic. Uh-oh, there's a problem. See, that's the exclamation point. So what we do is we would click repair, click automatic repair, leave the default select to say execute, apply part repair, removal part. Now no longer says that. And then you go part, export part as STL. It automatically adds repaired to it. Say save. Now that file should be 3D printable. Alright, thank you for watching and see you next time.